Tonight, can we get right? Tonight, can we get right? Whoa, oh, oh, oh. Hey, I need some of your love tonight. I need some.
Hi.
Hi, Sankani. Hi, everyone.
Hi, Luis. How are you? I know it's early in the morning. Sorry to interrupt your morning.
It's 1 hour after you, later here, so it's not that bad.
Yeah.
It's just right time to start the
What
day.
what time usually you go to work before, this quarantine happens?
Usually around 9-ish, yeah.
And
Yeah,
is too.
yeah,
Okay, so that's not so bad, right?
not
You
so
got
bad.
used to it.
Yeah, here also the traffic in Singapore is not that bad, the traffic, so we don't need to wake up super, super early. It's
Yeah,
just okay.
yeah. I know. I miss Singapore because of that, Luis. Because
Yeah.
Jakarta traffic can be like 2 hours everywhere. But how are you?
I'm fine. I'm like everyone, just staying at home, try not to go out, and even also now Singapore things got a bit tightened, and I think it's the right thing because that's a good way of trying to help this thing to pass a bit faster, right? If we all do our thing and everyone is helping on the same direction. So yep, just working from home and trying to stay chill and do other things and read more and watch more stuff and yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a good time to have some quality time at home. But at the same time, I got some sort of boredom as well because I got used to always go here and there. But yeah, I think it's been almost already 1 month, I think, for my case. What about you?
I think this total lockdown just a week ago. So yeah,
Okay. So you still went to office before
without going to the office, it's been like 2 weeks and a half, kind of 2 weeks and a half. Yeah.
Okay, great. I'm so glad to see that you're healthy and well. Yeah,
Like,
and Luis, maybe you can introduce some of the people here of what's your background and maybe things that you are passionate about.
well, my background, it's a bit mixed. I started first architecture when I was studying in the university. But since I was very young, I always liked art a lot. And I realized that architecture, it has a side that I love so much, which is also creativity, thinking, and many different fields that you can put together. But I was missing a little bit the more artistic side of it, right?
Mm,
So finally, I just ended up moving to fine arts.
yeah.
So yeah, I got my background is more fine arts, then I did some digital art masters. So helped me also to bring the art thinking into a more contemporary media, which is the digital media, right? And
Wow.
from there, I started working in first in an interactive digital agency in Barcelona.
Mm.
Then I had some sabbatical going to Brazil, where I also was
Where in
working there
Brazil? In Sao Paulo or
in Rio, in Rio.
in Rio? Okay.
Yeah. I also worked there for a while.
Nice.
And then I was back to Spain. I'm originally from Spain. So I was back to Spain. I worked for different agencies also there in Madrid, in Barcelona,
Mm.
until I moved to Singapore to do first a visual communication lecturer job here in Singapore. And this is how we met, as
Yeah, I know.
you were one of my very good students.
Really? I thought I'm the worst.
No, not the worst. This always worse.
Okay.
No, I remember you always like sitting right up front and being always very, very focused, which is very important, right? When someone is learning something or someone, you show you had that passion, right? And I think sometimes all you need is the passion, and I could see that passion on you.
I think something funny though. I think maybe because sometimes when you teach us, like you are this so very serious lecturer, so I need to really focus with you. But
Okay.
yeah, I learned some good stuff from you too, Luis, and it's glad that somehow we are, even though we are in a different moments already, different timing, but I believe we're still in the same industry, and
Hmm.
it's really great to have these shared experiences together with you.
No, yeah, and it's very nice to see how students like you, for example, are doing so many and good stuff, and how you are creating your own path and your own space within this creativity and design as well. Yep.
Yeah, I think life just roll up to be good because I think a lot, even before starting Higher Purpose, there are so many struggles as well, even until
Mm,
today. But yeah, I think what we need to do is just press in and press
mm,
all the challenges, right?
yep.
Yeah, okay. So maybe we will do something like discussions around the topic, and at the
Mm,
same time maybe after 8:30 a.m. if there is any question that somehow people wants to ask, and they can drop beside on the comment bars. There's this question card symbol, and
mm,
then they can click it and type down the question, and we can answer if there is any question. But usually in the morning, some of them are not really joining yet, but after this the live recording is going to be up in the Instagram, so they can still watch you to share
yeah.
your experience.
Even for lunchtime, if they want, they can watch during
Yeah,
lunch.
or maybe
They're
midnight.
not-
Yeah. Okay, cool. So, Louis, regarding all the things in the coronavirus pandemic, we've actually seen and witnessed that a lot of brands are tweaking a lot of their identities, and also the communication message, new campaigns start to pop
Mm,
up, and actually they are trying to somehow deliver the same awareness, the same
mm,
message out there. And maybe I will give some background study here first for others to hear. So why does this actually happening is because like creativity is actually a way, like a tool to inform and also educate public, like maybe social distancing, those things. If we just read it by the news article, it's gonna be something that's really bored. I mean,
mm,
really boring. But then
yeah.
how twist it with creativity, it will infuse something much more fun, something that will bring togetherness for the people. And I think brands do this kind of activation is actually to help, because somehow brands have their own communities, they have their own
Mm,
impacts, they have their own influences. So if they try to change something, like the way how they communicate and the way how they somehow bring up let's say social distancing, bring up something on the air, then the consumers which consume their brand, or maybe the loyal consumers, will definitely awaken to see that message up on the air. So I have actually a couple of examples here, Luis, about which brands that are actually trying to do this. But I want to hear from your side first. Maybe you can tell us like which brands that is actually excite us to do this kind of creativity.
I think there are some or many brands nowadays, as you mentioned, that they are trying to empower people, right? To basically join the conversation and celebrate things. For example, from one side, celebrate the fact that we are maybe a bit apart from each other, but we are united on this. So it's a good way of bringing that positive message. There are other brands that, as you mentioned, they're maybe using ways of showing we should be keeping social distance. So maybe they do it in a creative way that feels a bit more engaging or a bit more interesting, entertaining to people. And I think this is all fine. But I also think that now it's time for more than just messages. I think brands always push for messages, right? Messages about who they are, what's their product about, and also to engage with people. And that's all fine or good. But I think now it's time also to do more beyond that. And it's more time to see how brands can help people to navigate through these difficult times. And I think some brands are going also beyond that. And that's an interesting thing. For example, there is this brewery brand in UK who's like stopping mass producing more beers and doing also production for a gel sanitizer, hand sanitizer, right? I know there
Yeah.
are some brands that are trying to improve how they deliver their product, how they position their product in a way that it's more accessible, or it's a bit, or maybe now that people need also even more entertainment because they are stuck at home, brands that are or platforms are trying to cut the prices on some streaming so people can watch more.
Yeah.
So I think to me, it's a little bit now it's time more for action and for acts rather than words, but definitely words are always important. The only problem with those messages sometimes is that when you've been like hearing many brands saying the same message, the first time is good. It gives you that punch, that good feeling, right? Like, oh, there's this brand talking the same language than us. But
Yeah.
also when that message becomes also repetitive, after a few weeks, it loses the power and the effect, right? So this way, I think brands should really try to do more beyond their product, do more beyond talking about themselves also, and do stuff that really can make a difference to people during these days and also for the long term after this situation.
Wow, that's very well pointed out. I think when it comes to this crisis, like from the previous talks, I always bring this up. Like everybody's actually being awakened, like in terms of brands owners and also business owners, that they need to think, oh yeah, it's not just about purchasing, it's not just about profit, but really do something with impact, right?
Yeah, something that people feel it's helping. Anything that a brand can do to help. And it doesn't have to be like a big thing. Sometimes even small things can help, right? So people will remember that. And all we need now is this, like a helping hand, right? So I think brands should try to be also a helping hand rather than keep pushing for their products. Of course, we still need to keep economy alive and everyone needs to thrive, right? And brands also need to sell, but not doing it in a way that feels too forced or in a way that feels that you're still putting yourself at the center, right? I think if a brand now puts itself at the center in a too obvious way or in a bit that it's a bit forced and a bit that doesn't really make a difference, also could be a negative thing or something that some consumers or some people, because consumers are people, can feel a little bit irritated. And what you don't want is to make people think that you are just like not being honest or not being yourself, kind of thing. Yep. I
Yeah,
think brands
yeah.
should be with like people, right? They should just try to do good, and also, of course, they are in here for the business, but at the same time, they should just be normal as well, right? Not trying to force things neither.
Yes, yes. Basically, just don't. I mean, I will never consult a brand to be somebody that they're not. I mean, to just
Yeah,
follow the crowd and also follow the trend, because trend can be like wave all in a sudden and then drop all in a sudden.
yeah,
You,
exactly. This shouldn't
yeah,
be seen as a trend. I
somehow
mean, this situation is not a trend, and that would be the wrong thing of looking at it.
that's so true. So yeah, Luis, continuing about that. So well, some of the very basic examples that somehow the world notices is like how McDonald's somehow changes the logo, and not changes for good, but actually try to make awareness about it and how to separate those two arcs, which is make the M together. And then there is Audi brand as well, where we know that
Mm,
all the circles logos are attaching together, and now they're
mm.
actually separating from each other. Like the four circles are separating right now. And then VW also, even though VW is one circle, but then they make the V more detached with the
Yeah,
yeah, all sort of
yeah.
things. Okay. And I will go forward on the campaign side, but before this, I just wondering about your point of view, because we as a brand designer always have brand manuals and also brand guidelines on how these brands cannot do this, brand can do this,
Mm.
and all in a sudden, because of this pandemic, I think they're all breaking the rules just because.
Yeah, I mean, the reason why it creates an impact is because they're breaking the rules, right? And that's how it creates awareness, because they're very well-known brands. If it's a brand that most of the people don't know, nobody even will talk about it, right? So again, they are the ones who really have the power of creating awareness, because they are brands that are globally, they're all over the world. People likes them, and they've been there for so many years that whatever they do has an impact. And again, I think it's fine to start with this awareness, but what can they do beyond that awareness as well? That will be, I think, what it will be a more meaningful thing they can do besides creating awareness. But awareness definitely is the first thing, the first step to show that you're already trying to join this situation, and in a way that it creates a little bit of a conversation, education, awareness, and then how you can even improve maybe the way you do your things through your product and through your service as well.
Yeah. So, Luis, even though right now your video is also freezing, but then it's okay as long as we can hear your voice.
Sure, the voice is the most important thing, the voice.
But anyway, yeah. So you mentioned that somehow the brand needs to jump into action right now in terms of
Yeah.
how to pull that off. I mean, and do you have any suggestions about that?
Yeah, for example, there is Dove, right? Or let's say any other healthcare product. I saw this quite nice print campaign they did just to celebrate all the hard work of the people on the front, like especially nurses. And you know, Dove, for example, is about real beauty, right? So where these
With
shots
the mask?
with the marks, just showing how these people are really like working hard, and how this is expressed through that skin, right?
Yeah.
So this, again, it's an interesting way of doing it, but how Dove, for example, can we help these people, right? Maybe it's like giving products to them so they can, use their products after a hard day in the hospital working, right? And how they maybe can, implement ways of making sure that they are helping the one more help through their products, through their capabilities, right? And again, for example, there is this manufacturer of cars in Spain. Instead of doing more ads about awareness or about celebrating that we are in this together, they started to manufacture breathing machines. So this is why I think, of course, not all the brands can do it, but you as a brand, you should think, what can I do with what I have that can make a difference? And that's the more important thing, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I do think that brand is always have to come out from that point of view, because it's not just when crisis hits you then it's time for you to make a difference, but it's really need to come naturally from even before you position your brand in the market, right?
Yeah, I mean, of course, positioning is one of the first thing you are into branding, right? And you know that any brand should have some value, some purpose, and not just a purpose for the sake of doing better in business. It's a purpose because when you have a product, it's because you believe that product can make a good impact on people's life, or can make a difference, right? So that's already a purpose. This is why you are specifically into that kind of market, or into that kind of category, or into that type of product, right? So this is why I think in moments like this, it's good that the brands really apply that purpose as much as they can beyond their product. The product's still important, but also how many other ways they can go beyond that. For example, the brand that sells products to enjoy the outdoors, and of course they celebrate outdoors. So the way they do it is also doing ways can minimize environment, because what they stand for is to enjoy outdoors and the landscape, right? So again, it's like how you can bring that purpose not only in your product, but also beyond your product.
That's really great. Well, for my case, I hope every brand has their higher purpose already also become their strategy from the very first start when they create it. But yeah, I think a lot of companies and also brands are thinking that because they allocate their CSR initiatives from the company, that's already enough. But I don't think that just doing CSR or like charity on behalf of their organization is enough. I think the brand itself needs to move towards a more deliverables in terms of how they can actually involve in their purpose, not just the product purpose, like you said, involve in their purpose and also deliver their products, benefits, promises. But at the same time, it has to bring something good to the surface. And for Luis, for the benefits or maybe like emotional value of the customer or the consumer, why do you think that strategy only is not enough? Like, how can creative execution helps with the brand purpose to come to life?
Yeah, I mean, creativity, I think, needs to find the ways of doing those tangible things, right? Those things that are more than just words, more than just beautiful slogans or beautiful taglines. And of course, finding ways of creating those moments that really help to connect people or that really help to make a little bit of a difference within the possibilities of the brand as well. And again, the good thing of creativity is that sometimes you don't need expensive and very difficult to produce ideas. Sometimes just small, nice thoughts can have a very, very big impact as well.
Yeah. Like, I think the same thing about, in the United States, the hashtag #MeToo campaign. Like, it's actually just started through a social media until the whole campaign just outburst like that. And it actually doesn't have a costly advertising to make people actually to come together for a good cause, you know? Um,
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if your brand is in a field that there is room for improvement, then show and really try to bring something on the table that can help to improve that situation. And that's definitely. And not, again, is some people will say, "Oh, but you're doing this just for the publicity." Well, it doesn't matter. I mean, when you're a brand, you're already a public entity, right? Brands are public, and people use them, and people just interact with them. So it's normal that whatever you do has a publicity. But anything that can bring some solution, some help to any situation, any problem, that's more than welcome. And this is what everyone should be doing. Brands, people.
yeah. Wow, that's very good. Luis, have you heard about the Purpose Awards?
Nope.
It's actually awards. Okay, before 2018, the name of Purpose Awards is a different name. I think it's something for good. I don't know, awards. And then they change it into Purpose Awards. And actually, your company, which is DDB. Do you know Adam and
Yep.
DDB in New York?
Yeah, that's DDB in UK, Adam and Eve. Yep.
Oh, but actually, they are the agency of the year that the Purpose Awards are picking for, I think, last year, 2019.
Yeah.
So,
I think they've done a very good activations to create also awareness to many problems as well. Yeah.
yeah. So, in your case, maybe your personal experience, do you have like some experiences on how to channel creativity for a good cause? Maybe from your company or, yeah, from your working experiences?
Yeah, I mean, of course, in our company we have clients, right? So sometimes, not sometimes, most of the time we are finding ways for clients also to do things beyond just pushing for selling the product and to create more meaningful also like messaging,
Yeah.
message that can help. So it's always something that we keep in our minds, how they can do things with a stronger purpose. And sometimes even you have an idea that perhaps you still don't have the right client for that idea, but there is always probably an NGO or an organization that could profit of that idea. And it happened before that we just contact some NGOs related to that field that could support them to create awareness, to get more funds to whatever project they're involved in. And sometimes they like it. And so, yeah, so even sometimes we had some ideas that we just find a partner for that idea. Not only partner, because we think that idea can make a difference on this type of field. We just get in touch with them, we share the idea, and sometimes we did proactively. We just dedicate our time because we believe in the idea and we think it can make a difference. So not only from a client side,
Yeah.
can we make a difference, also from the creative agency side by doing proactive work, by trying to help others with ideas and creativity as well. And because we believe that creativity has the power to create awareness as well. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's amazing, right? I think as it's a really awesome news to hear that DDB as well is actually always thinking about how to solve problems for their clients, not just in terms of how to market themselves and how to bring up the sales, but how to make them believe in the purpose that you can see as a creative agency. Because I believe like business owners or maybe CEOs don't really, and their stakeholders don't really care about purpose that much, right? So how do you communicate sometimes, let's say in a client presentation or communication, how do you can bring this thing up to the surface when all they care about is how to make this product work?
I think there are two things. Sometimes you just need to have this idea in the back pocket, right? You first need to on the brief and those ideas that are closer to that brief. But if that brief has an opportunity for a brand purpose idea, you always good to have it in there. Of course, you will never start the presentation with that idea because you don't want to kind of like shake them too much. Like, of course, first like give what they're expecting a little bit within that brief. But if they realize that that idea, it can, as we say, make a little bit of a difference or even bring a bit more of the purpose. But at the same time, it's good for explaining why the product is good, why the product works. So if you find that balance between explaining the product within that story and plus adding the purpose, I think that's the best to make these ideas go through.
Wow, that's really good.
You need to combine both elements.
Yeah. So actually at the same time we are delivering what they are actually expecting, but also we add some value on it, right?
Correct. Yeah.
That is really good. And yeah, speaking of the Adam and Eve DDB, I mean the moment when they hit their 10th anniversary, they come up with actually 10 good things about their campaigns that they do for a good cause. And one of them is actually, have you ever heard of this project Ep04?
Sounds familiar, but
yeah, but I just found it really genius, and at the same time it is for a charity. So in the UK, there are actually 84 men going for a suicidal every week, like 84. So that's why they call the project Ep04. So and the company is actually called Calm, I think. So they just came up with this campaign idea, and do you know how crazy, I mean how genius it is? Like they make a replicas of man, but from a taping plastic tapes, and then it becomes like a human replica, like a man replica. So it's much more easier that they can actually place like a mannequins itself, right? I mean, they don't really need to do the hard work of creating a new replica with a bandage of plastic tapes, but they do it in such a way so that all the families that actually are impacted because of they're losing their dad to suicidal, or maybe their brother, all this family that losing their loved ones, like the men, and they ask them to help them out in this campaign. So all the families that has lost their men members in the house, they can write stuff onto that replicas, and then what they do is that they dress all the replicas, and they do a lot of it. They dress it like a guy, like a man, so putting all the clothes, and then they place it on high towers. So like it's just like going around all the towers. So every people that's just passing by around the neighborhood of that particularly chosen location, they can just snapshot, because like whenever you see somebody is just standing on the top of the building, you already have that idea that okay, that's a suicidal action, right? So they're actually raising that awareness, at the same time making it a very impactful communication, I guess, because people that is passing by thought that it's actually real human are trying to suicide themselves, but actually it's not. And then I think it's just one of the smart way and how it's for a good cause, but at the same time that's very creative, and bringing how the hurtful and the painful emotional value of family that lost their loved ones because of the suicidal. Hello?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there are always ways of making a topic open to the public in a way that it will start more conversation or it will create more awareness. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Luis, do you have any tips like what attributes that brands need to have maybe to shift to, let's say, this house creativity?
House creativity?
I mean, have you heard the term?
Cost. Sorry. Like the audio was, I thought it was house creativity. House creativity. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to be eager to do it. I mean, again, it's not something at the end. Also, the brand has the last call, right? We can present as many purpose and cost driven ideas as we can, but of course, always sometimes like the short term for brands seems more important than the long term. And I would say these kind of things are for the long term. And I believe also when you build a relationship with people, you have to think more long term than short term. But again, that's again a decision from marketing directors. It's not in our control.
Yeah.
We should to try inspiring them.
Yeah.
Hopefully, like we will start to doing more and more of this stuff.
Okay, so you're telling us that the short term thing is much more important than the long term thing.
There are short term solutions and long term solutions. I understand from a brand's point of view, sometimes especially for big brands, right, that the short term results or impact is the thing that they are focusing more because they are looking for results. They are looking for making sure that the business keeps going and keeps doing well, right? But I think it's important to show them, and sometimes it's more about just to educate a little bit, also saying like, look, there are other things you can do. There are things that can have a longer impact, can help to build personality for your brand and something that people can relate beyond your product, right? Of course, they need to like your product first to be liked.
Yeah.
But also then, once your product has been liked already, maybe it's time for start building who are you as a brand, what do you do, what you stand for, and other things that you can do beyond yourself, right?
Yeah.
At the end, it's like this. If you know a guy or a person who's always talking about himself, at the end, that guy will be quite annoying, right? So brands, they need to understand that there are more things beyond them, right?
Yeah.
And there are problems, and if there is a problem that it feels natural for them to try to make a difference, why not? Just try it, and
yeah.
And that's I think that should be all together, right? Should be part of it.
That's true, and I do think like it's always a challenge for brands to, let's say, do some action on their purpose, because at the same time, like you mentioned just now, business owners side always think that they want to get their product out there and let's see how people respond to it and whether people buy it or people not buy it. But at the same time, I think for this cause movement or maybe creativity for a good cause can do is to also be able to open rooms for contribution and engagements. Because when we're talking about, say, for people believe in what actually you're doing beyond just your product, then they will need to have their voice to be heard, or maybe some contribution that they need to, that they can take part into what all the brands are doing. So is this a good idea, and how to be also flexible and make some room for contribution of your consumers to engage with you?
Yeah, definitely. You always need to find different ways of engaging with people, right? Because if you want to create a good communication, the good communication is always about engagement, right? So again, if you're only talking about functionality of your product, that's fine. But once you already talk about the functionality, also you can talk about other topics. So it feels that you are more like a human voice. You are not just like a voice of trying to look for results, right? And
Yeah.
achievements, personal or self-interest achievements.
Yeah. And Luis, what do you think about the emotional connection when somehow creativity can move people and drive an impact? Because basically, when they see you do something, or maybe just an ad campaign that makes them wants to contribute, wants to also join the part. How do you describe this emotional connection that is important?
I think the more another thing that I think is quite important is not you cannot fabricate emotion, right? Sometimes emotion sparks in a way that you couldn't expect, right?
Yeah.
So this is why there is like a strategy on how we can create an emotional connection to someone, right?
Yeah.
So this is why the things that are true, the things that are honest, the things that sometimes is because you are doing just not on thinking on what's the output of that thing. You are thinking because you truly believe on that thing you're gonna do.
Yeah.
Sometimes can already spark that emotion, right? So again, sometimes all the products that or all the initiatives that have been too much elaborated, you can see already that it's a bit artificial, and that will already kill the motion.
Yeah.
So for example, I can see now a lot of brands using like real video of real people doing this kind of conversations, like now with the coronavirus, right? You see some brands are using real footage of real families just talking to each other through Skype, through WhatsApp, and this is all fine. But once you see like all the brands are using this footage to just plug their logo, that's already the motion is gone. You see that you can easily, now consumers are very smart and people are smart, right? They know that, okay, this brand is just using this footage to put their logo and try to look themselves good, right?
Yeah.
So this is why the true emotion is something that has to feel more real. It needs to come a bit from a real need, from a real thing that you believe and you really wanna make it, and that sometimes is what will spark some emotion. For example, in my case, in my personal experience, I was doing some branding project for my own creative team when we first joined a new team. And I created something that I never expect could have a big impact on people's, the way they perceive that work. But it turned out that because it was a project about different nationalities, different countries, and put all together into one typeface, suddenly sparked that emotion that how you can bring together countries to create, for example, a new typeface based on each country, right? So for example, my intention was not ever to try to create that strong emotion to people, but because when you deal or when you use topics, that those topics are related to people and people feel connected to those topics, the emotion will come.
Wow. Oh, that's really
So don't say to brands, don't overthink those things, right? Those things will come as long as you are true to yourself or are true or really honest about something that you really want to make change or something that you think it can have an impact. Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, do you want to know some funny facts and the way how people actually approach branding in Indonesia? Let's say the middle startups, not like the very well established, because I think the very well established companies in Indonesia already have some sort of an idea of what branding can actually help them, or maybe this creativity and also advertising will help them. But sometimes, like in the middle, let's say just retail companies for restaurants and blah blah blah, they only think that branding is a packaging, the way how you package a concept, and somehow people see it as, well, it's a nice thing, it's a beautiful ambience, and then after that they forget it. Like, I mean, every single restaurant, I think in Jakarta, they have a lot of openings of new restaurants just here and there. Like maybe in a month, like there are so many restaurants just popping up. And then we're actually fighting against concepts, new branding and blah, 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 without actually can help them to establish a more long-term and also the next step after after they're launching their, let's say, launching their big restaurants, right? So it's actually talking with you right now and trying to leverage the importance of how actually a consumer can think about creativity and work that actually build an impact is really important, because in Indonesia itself, we need to have this new inspiration. Because what I found it's a bit hard is actually when I come back here, the tempo and the rhythm of design and also yeah, all these creative agencies are different than what I see in Singapore. So it's always great to have like a different perspective, especially from the Singapore side, to really be able to bring us actually to level up a little bit and the way how we think about yeah, delivering creativity. And
Yeah, yeah. I mean, a brand is more than just the graphics, right? I mean, all any brand can do an interesting visual identity, and of course, that's important. You need to have a good face, right? Nobody wants to present themselves with a face that is not interesting or is not appealing to
yeah,
others, right?
yeah,
But the face is just like the way in. Once you have the face, what other things you have to offer? How you treat this product? How you treat this service, right? How you are improving the service? How even what you stand for? What you have to offer different from others that makes more meaningful for me to choose your brand from other brands. So
yeah.
I think this is as important as a good packaging, as important as a good logo. Yeah, definitely.
That's great. Okay, wow. I think we've already talked like almost 1 hour. Um, Maybe last question or something to add for to close this. Do you have anything to summarize or maybe give us some input or inspiration on how to do creativity for good cause?
I think there is no formula to do creativity for a good cause. It's more like if it's something you really want to do it, you're interested in, go do it. And also just think that it has a force, the creativity, to improve things, and not only improve from a physical point of view, but also from an emotional point of view, right? We can, through creativity, we can inspire more, we can enrich, enhance people's life, our own life, others' life, also by just creating more hope, more motivation, more inspiration, and that's always good. Yeah, just think if you want to do good, just creativity is a great way of doing it as well.
Okay. All right. I think from my side, I don't have anything to add already. You just wrap up everything just so nice and beautiful. So yeah, I think Louis, I hope that next time we can do this again with a better connection, of course.
Yeah,
From my side and your side, definitely. But
sure.
yeah, it's a fun talking to you, and wow, I think I can learn so much from your from your sharing and experience just now. And maybe next time we can collaborate again, Louis. Who knows? If you
Yeah, that would be great.
maybe have something that, oh, son, I think talking about this is good, like how something that's really happening in the branding
Yeah.
world.
We shouldn't wait for projects to come to us. We should go to create the projects ourselves, right? Sometimes the opportunities comes within us, not from outside. So yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Let's explore that.
Okay, I think we will just
Okay.
wrap this off, Louis. Thank you again for contributing and joining us. And yeah, I'll see you when all the quarantine is over and go to Singapore again.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yes.
Can't we get right? Tonight, can't we get right? Whoa, oh, oh, oh. Hey, I need some of